Everyone, Kaosy Umeh here, aka Attorney Know-It-All. So you guys, today I'm here today to just go quickly over how to file a complaint in Maryland. So I know a few years ago I did a video about this, but the law has changed since then, and also what else has changed? Oh, the forms have changed. So in Maryland, they provide forms for self-represented people, and even for some attorneys who want to use it, they do provide forms for us to use should we want to file a complaint, or we need to file an answer, or we need to file financial statements, or we need to file like a restricted information notice, something of that nature. Maryland is a very good state. They help provide all these forms so we can use them, both pro se and attorneys. Okay, so I'm going to go through how to file a complaint for divorce. As I said, the laws have changed since I made my last video, so I'm just going to go through this one. I'm just going to go through here so you can see how to do it now. It's still more or less the same format, but I want to show you what the new forms look like and what the new categories are. So let's get started. We're going to go to Google, as you can see. We're on my homepage. Then we go to Maryland Court Forms. There we go. I'm going to go to the first one that appears, the court form search. Okay, so I think this is the front page. We'll go to the search button here, and we're going to enter absolute divorce. Enter absolute. Divorce will come up on its own. So let's go to the first. Okay, that's for, here we go. So as you can see, complaint for absolute divorce. We're going to click on it. And we have the form here. So I'm just going to go through it quickly, as quickly as I can, just to show you what you need to answer, what is and is not important. So in this case, because you're going to be the plaintiff, let's pick out county and say that we're in Montgomery County. There you go, Montgomery County. And I picked Montgomery County because it's one of the counties I actively practice in. So let's go to the next thing. You typically don't need to fill that part in if you are handwriting it, but keep in mind this form automatically fills it out for you. And I'm talking about the location and the phone number. It will automatically fill it out regardless of which county you pick. So here we're going to say your name is Jack Doe. And your address is 00 Rock Hill. Rock Hill. And you're located in Rock Hill. And yes, I'm saying Rock Hill, not Rockville. You're located in Rock Hill, Maryland, zip code 2000. Again, this is just a sample client. Phone number, we're going to make it 555-555-5555. Email, rockhill@gmail. I really hope that's not someone's real email address. Yikes. So we have Jack Doe. We're going to have Jill Doe. And we're going to have the same address because that's one of the changes that has been made since the last time I did this. Since the last time I did one of these videos, the law has changed and it now allows for parties who live together. Let me take that out of the screen. And now allows for parties who live together to file for divorce. In this case, they could file for it under either mutual consent if you're living together or irreconcilable differences. If you're not living together and you want to file based on separation, it's also changed and only requires that you now be separated for 6 months instead of a year as it was for many, many years. Okay, sorry about that. Okay, so Rock Hill, MD 20000. The phone number is going to be slightly different here, 555-555-5550. There we go. And his email address is rock with a K hill@gmail.com. Okay. Obviously, these are all fake email addresses. Obviously, these are all, well, yeah, none of this is real. So I hope this really isn't somebody's real email address. So since Jack is our petitioner or our plaintiff, we're going to put in here Jack Doe. And I picked Jack and Jill because I remember the school rhyme. Okay, so it says here the defendant and I were married on, let's say January 1, 2020. Yeah, in Rock Hill, Maryland. Rock Hill, MD. Now, please excuse my typing. I'm not very good at it. I know it's tragic when I'm not very good at it. Okay, so what county were they married in? Rock Hill, Maryland. We're not getting creative with our counties. We're just doing this to fill this in. And let's say they got married in courts, that would be a civil ceremony. If they had gotten married in a church, that would be a religious ceremony. Okay, so number two, the question in number two really goes into one of Maryland's requirements. And in Maryland, we require that you have lived in Maryland for at least 6 months before you bring a complaint here. So I'm going to put in here that you've lived in Maryland since January 1st, since the day you got married, 2020. 2020. Yeah. So I picked that box. The next asks you about any cases you've been involved in previously. And this is for any case that involves either you or your children. You're supposed to list all your cases here and give the court. Here you had to, let's say, have the previous case, a Rock Hill case. The case number was 00000002020. And then what kind of case? We're going to make this a domestic violence case because those tend to pop up in divorce cases. What year? We're going to use the 2020. The results, let's say after whatever the incident was, somebody filed for the protective order, but you were able to work it out so the matter got dismissed instead of there being a final order. So we're going to type in dismissed there. And then children. Let's say you have no children. I think I'm only saying no children because it's easier for this example. But if you did have children, you type in your child's name here and the dates of their births. If you have more than one child, you put it all in here. If you have more than 6 children, I just suggest getting a second page of this. This is page 2 of this form. Just print out page 2 twice and type it in there. So because you have no children, then we're going to leave this blank because you know of no people who are involved in your children's cases. So in this case, this is usually for people who have, I don't know, very active grandparents or very active family members who are very involved in the children's lives. I have one case when the children lived with the aunts for 3 years during the party separation. Well, actually, it wasn't their separation. They separated within that 3 years. But for a very long time, the children were living with the aunts. So in a case like that, I would put the aunt's name and address in here. So just right here. Because we don't have any minor children, I'm going to leave number 6 blank. And all number 6 is asking is where does the child or the children currently live? Excuse my English. Okay. So number 7, this part is important because, as I said, in Maryland, you have to have lived in Maryland for at least 6 months prior to filing a complaint in Maryland. A complaint or petition, you need to have lived here for 6 months before you can bring one. So this case is asking you about your children. This also applies to your children. The only time this does not apply is if you have a brand new baby. So if you have a 2-month-old, obviously your 2-month-old cannot have lived in Maryland for at least 6 months prior to filing this complaint. But that doesn't mean you cannot ask for a divorce or you cannot ask for custody because your child is brand new, is 2 months old. The courts will take that into consideration. So over here, you just put some sort of sentence in here to indicate that you are pregnant and the child is only 2 months old. Okay. So we go here to parenting plan. If you have a parenting plan, if you two have agreed on how to parent your children, you go here and you click, I'm sorry, you go here and you click this box and you have a parenting plan, and you'll attach your parenting plan to your filing when you file it. If you don't have a parenting plan, you click on this box. Uh, Keep in mind, the parenting plan is another form that you find on this form's website. So if you don't have a parenting plan, the court doesn't require you have one before you file. But at some points during your divorce process, the court is going to require you actually go to this form's website, find the form that says parenting plan, and you go ahead and you download that and fill it in. Okay? So you go forward and so even if you don't have a parenting plan, I would still recommend filling those parts in, because even at this point, you should have an idea of what type of custody you would like for your children. Do you want joint custody, primary physical custody? Whatever it is, you click those boxes. You click it for the physical custody, which is where the children are going to reside every night. And you also click it for legal custody. And legal custody really refers to who's going to make decisions for the children, mainly decisions about religion, decisions about school, and school, religion, decision about health. Those are the three things legal custody covers. So you pick, do you want to share those decision making decisions with your spouse, or do you want to do it by yourself, which is solo? And as you can see, it also covers access of the minor child or visitation with the minor child. If you want sole custody, but you would like the other party to still be able to see the child, you click this box here. As we move further down, as we look further down, we go into child support. If you're asking for child support, you're going to click this box. If you're asking for health insurance, you're going to click this box. Keep in mind that Maryland requires that one party pays Maryland requires that one party pays for health insurance for the children. It doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't even have to be the primary physical custodian parents. It just has to be any parents must pay for the child's health insurance. And if you're on state insurance, the court will require that you notify the court. So if you're asking for child support, as it says here, you also have to attach a financial statement, because the court needs to know how much you make and how much your spouse makes in order to see if the amount you're requesting child support is appropriate. If a child support case has already been established, you can click on this box. If you're not asking for child support or health insurance, you click on this box. And that box gets clicked a lot, especially when parents are asking for 50-50 custody. And the main reason that box gets clicked is because, as the logic goes, if you guys are already doing 50-50, it's very unlikely that child support will be necessary. But if you take a look at the video I made previously that talks about child support and how to calculate it online, you will see that there might be a circumstance where even though you're doing 50-50 custody, somebody might still end up paying child support. And that typically happens where one party makes significantly more than the other party. In those cases, child support will be appropriate. Okay, so let's move on to alimony. In this case, they've been married for less than 5 years. They got married in 2020, so we're looking at roughly 5 years here. So alimony may or may not be appropriate depending on the circumstances. Again, if we're in a case where one party makes significantly more than the others, then alimony may be appropriate. But if we're making roughly the same thing and we have roughly the same amounts in debt, I don't think alimony is appropriate. But in this case, I'm going to click this box just because I feel like I haven't clicked a lot of boxes in the past. Plus, it is my philosophy. If you think there's even the smallest chance you might want alimony, it's better to click the box than not to. I'd rather have the court tell you, no, you're not entitled to alimony, than for you to tell that to yourself. Okay? And then if you have an alimony agreement, you click this box, and then you also write in why it is you're either seeking or not seeking alimony. Okay? So let's move on to the marital property. If you guys have a separation agreement where you've already decided how to divide your property, you click on this box. Okay. If you guys still have, my spouse and I have the following property. If you guys have mostly in agreements, but there are things you can reach an agreement on, like let's say how to divide the furniture. You click this account. People usually decide pretty early on what they're going to do about their houses, pensions, vehicles, and the rest. But if there is something you really could not decide on, you click on this box so the court has put on notice that this is something they'll have to decide. And I think we're almost done. Okay, yeah. If you request to use the possession in your home, keep in mind you are allowed to request use in possession. And use in possession mostly means that after your divorce, you can live in this house to raise the kids for 3 years, for up to 3 years. The court doesn't have to grant you the whole 3 years, and the court doesn't even have to grant you any use of possession. But if you request it and you have minor children, the courts will be willing to look into it to see if this is an appropriate case for use in possession. If you have any marital, if you don't have any marital property that needs to be decided by the court, you click on this box. And I'm going to direct your attention here to number 12, your former name. So if you're getting divorced, it is free to change your name in a divorce, especially if you're requesting to have your name changed back to your premarital name. So if you don't request it now during your divorce, you have to pay, and you decide in the future you want to change it, you have to pay for brand new court filing. You'll file a petition for a name change. And that petition in Maryland, it starts as it is $165 if you're self-represented, and if you're represented by attorney, depending on the county, it's either $175 or $185. Okay. And then you go to number 13, which is your grounds for divorce. I think I briefly spoke about this. The first ground of divorce is mutual consent, which means exactly what it sounds like. You two came to a mutual understanding and agreement about what to do about your property, custody, child supports, and every other thing related to your marriage. And you filed an agreement, you signed an agreement, drafted an agreement, and signed the agreement. And if that's the case, you click this box and you attach that agreement here. If the reason you're seeking a divorce is because you've moved out of the house and you guys have been separated for 6 months at least, then you click on this box and you state the date you moved out of the house. And then if the reason you're moving out is because you have irreconcilable differences, I see this a lot, especially in abuse cases or in cases where they've been married for 20 years and they've just grown apart. They rarely talk. They rarely engage in sex. They're just living together. They're roommates. You put that in here, irreconcilable differences. You let the court know, hey, we like each other, but we're just not feeling like we just cannot continue in this marriage. Or you put in there, no, we hate each other. We're constantly fighting. She hits me, he hits me. This is unsustainable. So you put the explanation in there. And then I'm going to direct your attention to the most important parts of your complaint. And it starts here, actually. Everything we did on top of this is important, but it's not as important as what you click here. This is, as it says, for these reasons, I request. This is your actual request to the courts. If you leave something blank here, there's a good chance the court can choose not to give it to you during your divorce because you did not request it. As it says here, I request. You actually have to request these things. So it's automatically checked off on the absolute divorce because this is a form for absolute divorce. But if you want your former name changed, you restate that here. If you want joints, primary or shared primary custody, if you want joints or primary physical custody, you check this box. If you want joints or sole legal custody, you check this box. If you want visitation of your child, you check this box. If you want child support, you check this box. And if you want health insurance, you check it here. And just so forth, for alimony, the use of possession of the home, the transfer of the property, the transfer of the property, your share of the value of the property, basically just any other thing you think you might want. This is where you state it. And at the bottom here, it talks about transferring of real property. So you state the address of the property and whose name you want to transfer from and to. So there you go. This is a new form for how to file complaints for divorce online. Download the form when you get to the Maryland Court Forms website. And I think, I don't know why I keep clicking that. Oh, the one thing I didn't mention was this box, the case number. As you can see, it appears at the top of every page. Don't worry about it if you're filing a complaint for divorce. The reason I say that is because the courts is going to assign you a case number after they receive your application. So don't worry about whether or not this box is empty. At this point, you really will not know your case number. So I hope you guys found that helpful. If so, let me know. Just leave a comment below. If there's another topic you'd like me to cover, feel free to let me know. I would really love to get into this. And also, don't forget to like and subscribe. And until then, I will see you guys later. Have a great day. Ciao.